The minimum is now to $15, which actually, if you want to have your own place in Watsonville and Salinas now, you have to make $34 an hour to have your own place. It's sad. It has become...
Explain that. You got to make 34.
You got to make $34 an hour for you to have your own apartment or your small little house if you want to live as a family. Other than that, you're going to live with 6, 7 other people to pay the mortgage or the rent.
Yeah.
So if minimum is $15, you're making less than half of what you need to have your own place. Farm workers have always gotten paid less than what they deserve.
Welcome to the Real Organic Podcast. I'm Lindley Dixon, co-director of the Real Organic Project. We're a grassroots, farmer-led movement with an add-on organic food label to distinguish organic crops grown in healthy soils and organic livestock raised on well-managed pasture. You just heard from Javier Zamora, a Real Organic Project certified farmer and farm workers' rights activist from California. Javier will be speaking at our upcoming conference on January 17th at EcoFarm, where we hope you'll be joining us either live at Asilomar Conference Grounds in Monterey Bay, California, or through the live streaming option. All ticket holders will receive recordings so you can watch our awesome speakers at your convenience. Now let's listen to the interview with Javier, which took place last summer.
So welcome to the Real Organic Podcast, and I'm speaking again with my friend Javier Zamora. Welcome, Javi.
Gracias. Gracias for being here and coming to our small, beautiful farm.
Yes, it's very beautiful. I just had the best strawberry I've had in a very long time out of your fields. And we were talking about why is it that I can't buy that strawberry in a supermarket? And at the same time that I can't buy it, some people who are growing such good strawberries are going out of business. It's a little bit crazy.
It's kind of crazy and sad, but unfortunately, that's the way it is.
Well, a couple things I'd like to talk about with you today. And one of them is Alba. So could you tell people about Alba and,
Sure.
and your history with it?
So Alba, it's a nonprofit. It's an organization that owns 100 acres in the middle of the Salad Bowl of America in Salinas, California. The land it's a piece of land that there is absolutely no limit with the amount of water that is there. And you can plant 3, even up to 4 different crops during the season. And you can definitely grow year round. The soils are excellent. Weather conditions are really good. So Alba owns 100 acres at that specific location. And Alba, it's a nonprofit that teaches individuals from anywhere, any industries on how to farm organically. But they emphasize their work in farm workers that want to begin their business in organic production. And even if you're a PhD, you can still take the course, which I know a few that have done that to learn how to farm organically. Once you go through their PEPA program, that it's called, if you are good enough and if you want to begin your own business, and if you get selected out of the 30, 40 that go through the course every year, you can become part of their incubator program that allows you to start your farm with a half acre and stay there for 5 years, and you can get up to 5, 6 acres during that period of time. You have subsidized price of land. You have equipment that you can use at a very inexpensive, and you have technical assistance from their personnel. But one of the number one things that I think Alba is, it's a place for you to understand where the resources are and where they come from for you to farm in this community. You have people from the USDA showing up, people from FSA, people from nonprofits like California Farm Link that can lend you a little bit of money. You have university extensionists to come in and teach you their knowledge. You have certifiers come in. So, and then people in that community that want new farmers to be successful. So that organization and the program was essential for me at the beginning because I went through the program. So that's how I started getting connected.
So when you say farm workers, this program is aimed at basically at farm workers in Mexico, which, you know, when I come out here from the Northeast and I go, virtually every farm worker I've seen is, you know, of Mexican ancestry. And, you know, the people working in the fields, growing the food that feeds America are pretty much brown-skinned people.
Without a doubt, 90-some%.
Yeah, amazing. And so that's the community that this program is aimed at, to take those people, as many as they can, who want to and are ready to do it, and try and transfer them, transition them from being farm employees to being farm owners.
That is correct.
Yeah.
You described that really well. So I'm one of them.
You're one of them.
That is correct.
You went through the Alba program.
I went through the program and I was a farm worker myself. I'm still a farm worker, but I'm a farm worker that owns a farm and employs 40-some family members.
Yes.
They have their families and feeds tons of people in the community. So that organization's main goal is to do that. Getting a farm worker that wishes to start their own operation, teaching him or her how to farm organically, and provide the resources or a place where you can figure out the resources so you can go ahead and initiate your farm operation and be successful with all these tools. So that's me. In a way, I think I become the poster child for that organization because I'm a blessed individual that has come to Alba, gotten out of Alba, gone on their own, and we are still here farming, and I think we're doing okay.
That's right, and growing excellent food, and also helping other people who come to work for you to make that same transition.
Absolutely.
A necessary transition, a needed transition.
Indeed it is. Otherwise, we're gonna have lots of issues with our food sources if we don't make it a little more exciting and help the new farmers that are trying to begin their operations. We have to give them a hand.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm pleased to say that Alba is certified with the Real Organic Project.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
There you go.
It's, yeah, fantastic. And they have, I don't know, I think over 100 farms out there now, the people who've gone through the program.
Yes, there's 38 farmers right now on the land, about 100 acres, and there's the Alumni that it's out in the area. I'm one of them, and there must be 40, 50 of us out there at different scales, but we're still farming.
Yes.
And the ones that are not farming, they're working for maybe a larger operation, and they have better their way of living, and they have created better skills to earn more money.
Yes.
So even though there's many ways of Alba helping the community, if you are not a individual that wants to, start your own farming operation, your own business, at least you can earn and get the skills that would take you to a next level for you to do better in life.
Yeah, yeah, excellent. So, there's so much there. We might not have time to go into all of it today, but out in California, you can't help but think about scale, because California is big agriculture. It's the big agriculture for produce, for vegetables and berries in America. And I drive around here and I just see these huge fields, and it's also got many smaller farms. So and the smaller farms often struggle to survive, just struggle to find market because of the increasing consolidation of the retail space. You told me that some of the Alba farmers have failed financially. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Not only the Alba farmers, small farm operations in the area are not necessarily Latino owned. They could also, Caucasian and different races that have farmed for several years, but in a smaller scale. They're finding themselves going out of business because of the larger ag being a bigger player in the market world, where their pricing it's a lot less than what my strawberries would sell for, or Jesus Martinez's strawberries, or some other farmer. So I think there is more organic food in the market that is not coming from small family-owned farms. So the competition has gotten a lot worse for the smaller guy that doesn't have the resources. And so sometimes it's understood that if the retailer or the end consumer is struggling and doesn't have the money, they can't necessarily support a smaller farm. When a bigger farm is suffering the same thing, it might not have the same nutrient density, and it definitely does not taste the same, but that's the only thing that people can afford. So there's many things going on. I think it's the inflation. And what I do know is that the fact that more and more bigger farms are converting their land into organic production is making the survival of a smaller farms a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
There's just no question about that. If the organic production is increasing, but I don't know what percentage every year, the amount of larger farms producing organic food, it's increasing hundreds of times. I see it all over me. I see it around our areas where there's just so much transitioning, if you will, that it's giving us a lot of challenges that we didn't really have 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. This conversation sometimes gets framed as these poor farmers who are being put out of business, but I think it's much more profound than that, because I think it's not just about these people, and of course it's about these people, but it's not just about these people. It's also about all the customers. I ate your strawberries, Javier, and they were delicious. And I cannot buy a delicious strawberry in a supermarket in the Northeast. I have not for years. And so it's fine to say, well, people can't afford good food, and there are people for whom that's true. They can't. And that's not the fault of good food, that's the fault of our economic system. But the truth is, whether you can afford good food or not, it's pretty hard to find now. And when I taste your strawberries, I would buy a quart of those every week of the year I could get it. And I can never get it. I can never buy it in a supermarket. And, if I'm lucky at a farmer's market, I can get it for about 3 weeks a year. And so I think there's something much bigger than just, times are hard so people can't afford good food. A lot of people would choose to take whatever disposable income they have and spend it on good food. They can't get it. We're losing something really precious here.
There's so many answers to that question and those statements that you just made. I can tell you that if I had the logistics and the financials behind me, you can have my strawberries tomorrow, whether you're in Hawaii or New York. But I don't have that. So unfortunately, these changes that I talk about, it's at a local, regional level. That's as far as I can go. I can only drive 4 hours away to sell my strawberries. But if I could fly them to you, or if I could fly them to New York every day, I would, and I could, and you could enjoy my strawberries.
Right.
In fact, I've sent strawberries to somebody in North Carolina the very next day, but 2 clamshells was $160. That's just. But I mean, there's people that can pay for that. But
Yes.
I think if I had the logistics, not only for me but regionally for the small farmers, I can put them together and send them over, and they'll be available to you. Unfortunately, we just don't have the infrastructure and the financials behind us that can allow us to do that. But that will change. We are changing it. And I'm one of those trailblazers that want to make that possible.
Yes. I talked with Larry Jacobs yesterday, Jacobs Del Cabo, and he told me the story of Del Cabo. And Del Cabo is all small growers down in Mexico. And they saw these people weren't making a living. They could grow the food very well, but they had no market for it. And he said, let's get together. You got to be organic, which they were close to organic already because it was really before the chemical onslaught hit Mexico. It was just at the beginning of that. He said, before you go into the, take that red pill, let's
try this.
Let's try this. And they, the advisors there didn't think it would work, but it did work. And so now you have a thing with a bunch of over 1,000 small producers band together to get the food to people who want to buy it. And they have the climate, they have the water. So, and that's going all over the country. So there are models for how we might do this a little bit differently.
I think I want to be the next Larry Jacobs, because there's a need to do that here. Something that he saw many years ago in Mexico. Now in America, in the salad bowl of the country, we have that issue. We have those smaller farmers that are organic and they grow beautiful, tasty things. If you had a week, I can take you to 20 of them, and you will see, you will experience the same thing that you did when you ate my strawberry with their tomatoes or with their melons a little farther south, or their watermelons. But they don't have the Larry Jacobs that can take him to the next level. But if we get together as a community, we can definitely make that happen. It just takes someone, perhaps could be me, or somebody else that it's more a little wacko and crazy, if you will, but we're not stupid, we're smart, and we know what our community needs. And we have the heart to do it. We're here to feed our families and feed the communities, not to become millionaires or be, on the list of wealthiest farmers in the nation or anything like that. We're here to make our communities better, feed our community better, have our farm workers eat the food that they're growing for free. They're growing it, they're making it happen. But if they're working for the big boys, they don't have access to that.
Yes. Javier, talk about, I've met some farmers this week, growers, we call them out here, who, they pay people pretty well to work in the fields. And I know not everybody does, but I'm just curious, you want to talk about that, like for a farmer that's doing it differently? How much can they pay somebody who works in the fields, and how much will that person make if that farmer isn't quite so enlightened?
So the minimum is now to $15, which actually, if you want to have your own place in Watsonville and Salinas now, you have to make $34 an hour to have your own place. It's sad. It has become
Explain that. Explain that. You got to make 34.
You got to make $34 an hour for you to have your own apartment or your small little house if you want to live as a family. Other than that, you're going to live with 6, 7 other people to pay the mortgage or the rent.
Yeah.
So if minimum is $15, you're making less than half of what you need to have your own place. Farm workers have always gotten paid less than what they deserve. In my case, when I started, our minimum was 10 years ago, $8.50. I'll pay him $10.50. I always want to pay him at least $2 more than the minimum wage. And now they make between $18 to $22 an hour, which that's as much as I can afford. If I could afford 34 or 40, I would, but that means I wouldn't last more than 6 months in business. Only during the heavy harvesting time I would be able to pay him that. But if the end consumer knows that we need to get a fair price for our strawberries and our corn and our vegetables, we're able to pay him that. We're able to pay our workers a better wage and an amount that it's very decent. So not too many of us are doing that, unfortunately, around here. I can tell you that I'm one of the very few.
Yes.
I can count them that I have during this time of the season that I have people making $1,400, $1,500 paychecks. That's incredible. You have kids coming out of college that don't even make that. And what makes them different? If you have, my irrigator, he needs to be highly skilled, not to blow up that 500 gallons per minute that the pump is pumping. And if you have my strawberry picker, he needs to be highly skilled to make sure that he picks the right ones and put them the right way in the clamshell. So you, the end consumer, say, oh my God, those are beautiful, I'm gonna buy them. Those are skills that they have. Many people think that a farm worker is not skilled, that it's just something that you are born and you get thrown and that's the only thing for you to do. My God. Musicians do the same thing, ting, 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 and they get $150,000 per concert, So what makes this difference? We have to understand that the work that we're doing, it's highly skilled. Therefore, the ones doing it didn't necessarily go to school for 6, 7 years, college degree, but they've done the work that has taken them to where they're at. So they're worth that and more. So we have to think on how different skills have to be rewarded the same way.
Michael Pollan has said that all cheap food is based on taking advantage of workers and animal abuse.
Correcto.
And so we need to change the conversation about, I hate it when people say, oh, organic is for the elites. I go, no, the people who own Driscoll's are the elites. It's not personal. I'm just saying that the truth is the people who own the large corporate enterprise are the people who are making a lot of money. Organic farmers that I know, they get by. And we want to make it that the people who work on those farms get by too. They get a decent wage. But that means food's going to have to cost a little more.
Our gas is because policy changes or because the elite making decisions, it's costing more for everybody. So why doesn't the elite or why doesn't the end consumer that can drive the price and say, hey, whoever, Javier or Hannah or Francois or Maria is producing my food and they're going out of business. We're not paying what the real price is. If you pay the real price, we might as well have the Third World War. Ain't gonna happen. But we can have good community individuals and policymakers understand that somehow the smaller farms need to start getting paid a little different than the main capitalism find larger companies are doing things. And so it's just it's unfortunate how the system works and helps some and pushes others to go in the hole, when the ones that are going in the hole should be the ones that are actually lifted and supported to make better communities and to have better health within our communities and lift them out of being so disadvantaged. There's always so much talk about disadvantaged communities and the wealthy and how it just keeps getting, the gap is just bigger and bigger and bigger. But talking about it doesn't make change. Let's just do something about it. Let's make the change. You have incredible, smart individuals with really good hearts. I mean, you invited me a couple days ago to a meeting where you saw a wealth of knowledge and good-hearted farmers that I deeply admire, that they're not stupid. They're just getting old and they see their dreams that they began with disappearing and not really having a good individual behind them that can take this on for the next generation. The Full Bellies, the Phil Foster, Tom Bross, Steve Patterson, they're trying to downsize, they're gonna retire. And then what? If none of their kids wanna continue on with the legacy of the farm that it's admired by a lot of people right now.
So Javier, you said 10 years ago even, things were different. Things have changed. So it's not just that there's no next generation, it's that, well, maybe what we built won't last because there are changes in the economy and the rules and the regulations, everything. The market is so different now. And it's crazy because organic is booming in the marketplace. It's growing billions of dollars every year. More and more people are turning to it. And I turn around and I look at some of the best organic farmers in the country. I see some of them going out of business. And even ones who are not going out of business, I don't see someone who's going, that's great, I want to take that over because it looks shaky. So what do we, well, you know, there's an attempt to deal with this on a regulatory level, and you are now serving on the National Organic Standards Board. Thank you very much. I could not do that, you know.
Got my hands full.
I'm sure. And I think the reason I couldn't is because even if you win and you pull off a great recommendation, they ignore it. They have done that for over 10 years now. Even the things that on a regulatory level they're forced to do, they don't do. Do you get discouraged by that?
The third meeting that I had, I saw that. And I said, I've been asked by, no one's forcing me, but I've been asked by my community to be part of you. But I see and I feel, and again, this is my third meeting, I feel like this it's not going to go anywhere. And it's not that I'm trying to be pessimistic or negative about the hard work that is happening, because there are some really good, smart individuals that want to do really good for the farming community and on the rule making. But I think our political process makes any change very difficult. So that doesn't mean we're not going to try. But I think at the same time, we can try doing different things that are more community, farmer driven, that can make a faster change by informing the eater, the one that it's paying, the one that wants to taste those tasty strawberries, or the salad, the green salad, or the salad greens that are really unique, have their questions answered. They are ultimately the ones that can make a faster change. The more you educate the end consumer, the better it gets for everyone. As simple as that. Therefore, we might not have to wait for the government to dictate the ruling, when the ruling can be changed at a local and regional and national level.
Yeah.
It takes a few to make the change. But those few individuals have to be within tune to make the sound likable.
You think Real Organic Project is a good way to work on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this project, it's bringing us closer to where my mentor, Phil Foster, my dear friend, Tom Bros, and Christine and Del Cook started. So we're 45 years ago where it started, and it kind of kept at a good pace and clean and nice and desirable, and for I don't know how many years, 20, 25. And then it started getting more appealing to the main money-making companies, and it started going downhill. You don't have to go far to really realize that. You said it a little earlier ago. The amount of organic food that is needed and it's been offered, it's billions of dollars. But the original organic growers are going out of business. And the ones that follow the same path of using Mother Nature and using our soil, and we're feeling hopeless because my tasty strawberries and more delicious and more nutrient dense are a big disadvantage out there, and are not being rewarded by working with Mother Nature. And that makes a very uneven field for a real organic grower.
So let me ask you, thank you, that's very clear. Let me ask you about something that the symposium is going to be talking a lot this year about regenerative. And regenerative has become, well, it's very quickly moved from kind of an exciting idea for Midwestern farmers to farm better to being a corporate slam. We just see every major corporate player in the food industry is now embracing the title of being a regenerative company. And if they were all telling the truth, I say, wonderful, we can go home and have a glass of wine because we just won. But I don't think we can do that. I think we have to keep working. So what are your thoughts about this? What do you say when Bayer Monsanto and Syngenta and Pepsi all say we're regenerative? What does that mean?
I've seen that within the last 10 years. I've seen it begin. I've seen these companies trying to get the consumer excited about this. What the hell is it? What is it? What is biodynamic and what is regenerative ag? You know what it is to me? It's just a fashion. It's just a marketing tool. Yeah, there's things in biodynamic and regenerative that are good. But if you have an organic grower that sticks to Mother Nature and sticks to the original ruling, you're all that. You're already that. You regenerate your soil. You are taking care of not just your soil, the entire environment, your water, your resources around, and the ones that are actually making this a business or a activity, your farm workers, the people buying it, it's the growers. So don't come to me and say that I gotta create, this regenerative. Are you regenerative? What are you doing? You come to me and I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing that is regenerating our organic matter, is increasing it. It's regenerating our nutrients in the soil by doing all these rotations, switching different families, planting diversity. That's it. That's just not a label or a name that I'm coming up with. The organic movement and the real organic, that we have to call it real organic now because we need to go back to what Phil started and Dale in order for people to differentiate what organic and real organic is. So this is the real organic. This is the regenerative. The biodynamic, I'm not really 100% sure what that is, so I need to educate myself. But when you grow food in a natural way, it's all those new words that they're coming up with. All these new, these new ideas that they're trying to sell to the end consumer. I hope I answered your question, but just going back to Mother Nature, working in tune with your natural resources, that's regenerative. That's not a label that I'm looking for. I'm trying to stick that on my clamshell so people understand that my strawberries are better. When people understand my story and the way we farm, they'll buy the strawberries because that's real. That's not fake. Nobody's paying me for that. It's coming out of me. It's coming out of my community. It's coming out of our hands. It's coming out of our 16-hour days. That's regenerative. That's real.
And I want to just say to people that you have pioneered the cardboard clamshell. And so have I on the other coast.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
so
there's many other ways.
There's many ways that we work on this problem. We all have complicated problems, and we participate in the problems, and we must participate in the solutions.
Correct. Yeah.
All right.
It's a lot of challenges, but we just have to face them, try to solve them, work with them, and make it happen.
Javier, I know that you're stacked up here with business. Any last words you want to say? Anything I didn't ask that you go, yeah, I need to say this?
Now I think it's just being part of this movement makes me really happy, and I'm just proud of being part of it because I think it's the right thing to do.
All right. Thank you very much, Javier Zamora.
De nada, señor. Gracias por venir.
Gracias.
Thank you for listening to the Real Organic Podcast. We hope that you will subscribe, tell your friends, and leave us a rating and a review so that others can find us. A video version of this interview is found at realorganicproject.org/episode 97. Please join us next time when our guest is climate activist and author Paul Hawken, who will be the keynote speaker at our upcoming conference at EcoFarm on January 17th. To support this podcast and our certified farms, become a recurring donor at realorganicproject.org.